Hey, I'm Little Luna, and I'm hanging out with Rob on Front Row Live.
Little Luna, I'm super excited to finally get to talk to you. We mentioned earlier, I've been following you for some time, and I'm super excited that now a debut EP is right around the corner. I feel like you've been doing this for some time and kind of trying to discover yourself as an artist, trying to discover your voice. And I feel like we're at that place now, where you know who you are as an artist, and you know about the writing process, and you know what your vocal ranges are and what's comfortable and what's not. So what was that artist development process like for you, before you realized this is who I am?
That was such a beautiful synopsis. Like I feel like you just said my whole journey in that little intro there. First of all, thank you, and thank you for having me in this interview. Um, in short, my music is my journey to rediscovering my truest self, and my intention with my music is that when you listen to it, you would feel inclined to maybe like go inward, check in with yourself, ask yourself, like, who is my truest self in this moment and in this season? Because we are all constantly changing, which I know is not new news, but often the people in your life or the patterns in your life aren't necessarily changing. And so they're locking into older versions of you, or like labels that you might have put on yourself or other people have put on you. And that's something that I'm really breaking free of in my own life and allowing myself to change. So this whole like artist development is just me developing like as a human in real time. And all the different various sectors of that are the lyrical content of each of my songs. So Shift and Go, the first one that I put out, was really the first step into allowing myself to change, allowing myself to start making music. I only put out that song, I think, about a year and a half ago, and have only been in writing sessions, like in sessions as Little Luna, figuring this out for the last like 2 years. So it's been a pretty quick change for where we're at, but at the same time I've been wanting to make this music my entire life. So it feels like, even though externally I've only been on the scene for like a year and a half, 2 years now, internally I've been knowing that I wanted to put out music as Little Luna and like step into this part of myself for probably like 7 or 8 years now. So it's been a long time coming.
That's one thing that like the music fans don't really understand. Sometimes when, if your song blew up today, they think you just instantly made it, but it's like that process of like trying to figure out your sound, trying to write 1,000 songs before you can release one. Like, it's amazing to hear like the story that every artist goes through, because it's never the same story. Now, as far as that, like, what made you realize this was your sound?
Mm. Well, what's so fun to that is I feel like I'm just a little baby stepping on the music scene. I think in a few years, we're going to look back on this interview and be like, wow, like that was just the beginning and so much has changed and my sound has evolved and changed so much. But as far as like the past 7 years of not making any music, not identifying myself as a singer, as a songwriter, like completely not letting myself be in this space, to now finding this sound, I feel like it's kind of a hodgepodge of everything I listened to growing up. My parents played a lot of music from the 70s, which is my biggest inspiration right now, the fashion and the sonics. And but with that, they played just many different artists and different genres. And my voice naturally has a jazzy kind of vibrato leaning sound towards it. My speaking voice is a bit higher than my singing voice. And just by going into the studio and depending on what producer I was working with, giving the inspiration of, let's say for one of my most recent song, Under the Wave, I was like, I want it to be influenced by the Zombies' Time of the Season. And the producer was like, "Ooh, what about a little bit of Gautier?" And then I was like, "Ooh, but then here's just my natural singing voice." And then that's created, I guess, its own sound. Is I'm very specific when I go into the session with what songs I'm inspired by at the moment. And then that's the beauty of creating, is like, perhaps I have found some sort of sound right now, but it's still different every time because each producer brings their own artistry to the track. So but I do know now in sessions when something isn't me, something doesn't sound like me, and I'll be pretty vocal about it, because otherwise I'm just wasting everybody's time. So I try to be as truthful in my lyrics and as truthful in the creating process as I can. And, you know, what is truth? That's a loaded question and different for many people. But for me, it's often listening to that little like gut in the pit of my stomach that just knows. It's like your knower, like you know when you know. And so with my sound, if something sounds like, yes, this feels like me, then I lean into that. And if there's even a twinge of like, this sounds like I'm trying to be somebody else, or I just like don't really vibe with this, then I'll let them know so that we can forge out this little path of creating a sound.
It's amazing that you know this early on, because I feel like a lot of artists, it takes years of them releasing and trying different things with music before they can finally realize this doesn't sound like me. I'm not going to waste my time. I'm not going to waste their time. So that's pretty cool.
Well, thank you. I think that it's partly because my I call myself a recovering actor, because my career and my blood, sweat, and tears every day prior to releasing music for Little Luna was I was an actor, and often just an auditioning actor. And so I think that time period, perhaps, that artists find at the beginning in the studio, I've found in my own life just through a different creative vessel, where I have spent years and years of not being myself, playing other characters, and also just not showing up for myself a lot of the time in that field and in that process. And so since I've gone through that, I'm like, that's the opposite of what I'm doing with my music. I will show up for myself. I will be on this quest to finding and understanding what is my truest self in this moment.
As far as this most recent single, you mentioned how like this whole process has been you discovering yourself, like your inner self as well. And we kind of get that with this single. There's artists that write music and paint this picture and take you into this new world. And there's artists like yourself that you bring us into your headspace, and we get to experience what's really going on, that whole meditation process. This is a very personal, vulnerable song in a different sense for you, but at the same time, you still collaborated with a co-writer. So what is that process like? And I love that you worked with Sierra Deaton. I love her so much. She's incredible.
She's
like her songwriting is incredible, and she needs to do more of her own music for sure, because she has an incredible voice. But what is that? What was that process like between the two of you as you were starting to write this song?
So many things I want to say on that. And I just want to start with saying, like, Sierra is the best. She has a heart of absolute gold, and the way that she's able to dig into my mind and just meet me at what I'm trying to express is pretty unmatched. I haven't found that with another co-writer yet. I know there's many people out there that we can vibe and flow with, but Sierra and I are doing a majority of these songs together. But before I go more into that process, I just wanted to note the fact that you said that meditative state, like my music is bringing people into my land and psyche up here, which with that, I've been teaching meditation and yoga for 7 years. So I tie in my love and my passion for like the benefits of meditation with my music. And that's exactly what was happening in this new song, Under the Wave, in the music video. Well, I don't want to spoil it if you haven't seen it yet, but basically meditation and the journey your mind goes on is a very large visual theme in that music video. And with Sierra and Matt Pauling, who's the producer of the song and also co-writer on it, creating with them, like I said, I took in the song Time of the Season by the Zombies, and lyrically, that I don't even, honestly, it kind of feels like I black out in the studio whenever I'm with Sierra. People have asked me this before, and I need to get more in tune with answering this question, because I feel like I normally go in with a line that came to me in a meditation or a line from one of my poems. And then I'll share it with Sierra and Matt and see which one they connect to more. And then we'll go down that lane. But then Sierra also always comes into the session with something either from, she has like a few different techniques, and I now let her story be her own. I don't want to spill her secrets. But she comes in with her own ideas, and we start with that. We see what everyone gravitates towards the most as far as the narrative goes of the story that we'd like to tell that day through that song. And then we just go back and forth, and everything from there out just feels like I blacked out. I don't really know what happens. It's just a back and forth dance until at the very end we have a song.
I mean, I totally believe that, because that's what I feel when I listen, especially with this new song, Under the Wave. I felt like I blacked out during the process, and I came back just feeling so relaxed and refreshed. And it was like, I was going to say that earlier. It's like, your voice gives me this, like, I don't know. It's like what is it? The meditation hertz. What is it called?
432 hertz.
Yes.
Yes.
So when I'm listening to your music, and I think that's what like really drew my attention in the beginning, that it's like, I just all of a sudden just feel relaxed. Like, and it's so rare. Like usually when you listen to music, all these other emotions come out, or you want to like bang your head or whatever. Like, but with you, like, I just feel so relaxed when I'm listening to it. So it's cool that you kind of feel that way when you're writing it.
That's powerful. Yes. It's a big intention of mine. And if you, or for anyone who wants to join my Discord, I host normally specific and strategically placed meditations, but that actually is a big, I'm debating how I want to share this. So I haven't shared this yet, but the final track of my EP is a 25-minute guided meditation track for a meditation I've been teaching for years. And so my hope is that whenever you are at home just listening and, like vibing out through the record, you go through the songs and perhaps you take some time to meditate at the end. And luckily with Spotify and Apple Music and all these ways you can listen to music, I know that people will be in their car and putting it on shuffle and then skip the meditation when you're jamming in the car. But when you're at home, it is an offering that I have. And that takes me back to something that you said earlier about kind of being in that meditative state with my music. And then literally with this meditation is I take that honor very seriously. Like when you are meditating, I am aware that my voice and the story, the journey that we go on is in your psyche. And so I take that at like the highest, what's the word I'm looking for? Not necessarily like intention, but like I take that seriously. So I'm excited to see how people respond, and knowing that that's how the song made you feel. Rob, I can't wait for you to do the guided meditation. Even if you've never meditated before, it's very accessible, and it's very imagination based. So I think anyone could have a positive experience from it.
That's amazing. We might have to talk a little bit more about the debut EP in person, just because I do want to experience this with you.
Yes.
And yeah, you're right. Like meditation has been something that like has been difficult for me to actually do. Like for me, my meditation is trail running in the mountains and getting lost and forgetting the world is really there. But like meditation, what everybody else pictures or imagines, like that has been such a difficult process for me to like focus on. So maybe that's going to be the key that I need.
Maybe, but you don't need anything. I'm not here to like give anyone anything new. It's just like offering a tool that's been helpful in my life. And perhaps your meditation will always be running through the forest. Like that's the cool thing about it, at least in my own experience, is there's no right or wrong way to do it. And there's not one thing that works for everybody. But if you are doing some sort of guided meditation, this particular one that I teach can just be a really fun journey for the imagination. So not as like just because I am often there when you're trying to meditate and you're just like, I am everywhere but here. And then you end up getting more frustrated and you're like, this doesn't seem to be helping me. But I think with mine, like my hope with the EP would be exactly that. Like someone such as yourself that's like, nah, I don't know about that. And I can't really focus when I do that. Like, just give it a shot and like see what happens. And if you end up having a great experience, great. You know, like you can do guided meditations. Maybe you just hadn't found one previously that worked for you. Or if you don't, then that's fine. Cause like it doesn't matter. We're just here in this life. I think finding things and experiencing things that like enrich ourselves and enrich that connection to self. So one of my favorite teachers always says, like, take what works and leave what doesn't. Like it, you know, and that's how I very much feel about my music and the EP with anyone listening to it. Like, take what works for you and what doesn't, leave it. It's subjective. I don't care. I just know that the people who do resonate, this could be a very, very powerful tool for people.
Man, I'm loving this. I'm loving this. Yeah, we definitely need to we definitely need to reconnect because I want to dive in more on this debut EP, and just the title alone, like Through the Self, like that that leaves so many questions. So we're doing this again for sure.
Great. So that'll be for part 2.
This is just the tease, so you can get introduced to little Luna. This is like, I want you to focus on Under the Wave right now.
Beautiful. Yes. So Under the Wave, the newest single, the newest music video, all the music videos are directed by me and with my fantastic, amazing little team that I literally couldn't do it without. So check it out and hit me up in the comments. Let me know if you vibe or not.
Awesome. Well, Lil Luna, thank you so much for taking the time to do this. I'm super excited that we finally got to meet. And part 2 coming soon.
Part 2.